The purpose of a horror movie before anything else is to be scary. Now this is usually accomplished through a great villain, but sadly, they're not all made of sturdy enough stuff. In fact, there are a bunch of horror villains that don't get the blood pumping at all, as they barely elicit any kind of reaction. But then there are others that are even worse, as they somehow unintentionally make the audience giggle and laugh rather than tremble in fear. And that's the exact kind of villain we're celebrating today. So with that in mind, I'm Josh from WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 unintentionally funny horror movie villains. Number 10, Paul Cerrone, Anaconda. Anaconda is a weird movie, not just because it's about a giant snake. No, it's an odd flick thanks to the strange melting pot of actors that have been chucked into it, with everyone acting like they're in a completely different kind of movie. Owen Wilson, Jonathan Hyde, Ice Cube, Eric Stoltz, and J-Lo. It has to be seen to be believed. Still, the crown for the most unintentionally hilarious character has to go to Jon Voight's ludicrous villain. Voight plays a callous snake hunter who, besides the anaconda itself, acts as the film's main antagonist. His performance is about as good as what you'd expect from a movie as ridiculous as this, as he's so melodramatically hammy in the role that you'll wonder if the whole thing is just a joke. He chews the scenery and pulls a perpetually weird face that makes him look half asleep at all times. Like, why does he keep doing this? Still, the worst is yet to come, as this entry has yet to mention his terrible, terrible accent. And that's because, oh lord, Jon Voight's attempts to perform a Paraguay accent are enough to make you think he owes the whole country an apology. It's laughably absurd and makes everything that comes out of his mouth lack the venom that he clearly intends it to, but it sure is funny. Number 9, David, Alien Covenant. Michael Fassbender's villainous android David is an utter highlight of both Prometheus and Alien Covenant. For the most part, he lives up to the best robots in the series, oozing with menace and possessing a real intimidation factor, as he presents David as a cold, unfeeling machine without any real regard for humanity. It's precisely that lack of human emotion, though, that can sometimes make him come across as unintentionally hilarious. Put simply, David is kind of a strange dude, and when he's spouting the philosophical dialogue that Ridley Scott loves so much and searching for his own purpose, he can get into some rather uncanny and awkward scrapes. This goes double when Fassbender himself plays double duty in the second movie. Him talking about fingering a flute for 5 minutes, it's just, well, at that point it's just kind of classic David. Number 8, Dr. Evan Rendell Jr., Dr. Giggles. The Doctor will see you now. If you go into a movie called Dr. Giggles expecting something on par with The Shining or Hereditary, then you might want to reconsider your viewing habits. This, quite frankly, is a film that never stood a chance at being genuinely terrifying, and a big part of that was the utterly hilarious villain, Evan Rendell. The movie stars the late great Larry Drake as a delusional psychopath who thinks he's a doctor. He returns to the hometown where his father was killed and goes on a murderous spree, all the while becoming obsessed with Jennifer Campbell, a teen with a heart condition. The truth is, the character, nicknamed Dr. Giggles because of his laugh, is just not scary at all. In fact, he's kind of side-splittingly funny. The performance from Larry Drake goes so overboard that you think he was playing at a pantomime. And while he does do his best with the material and the direction, he never comes across as intimidating. This, combined with the cheesy dialogue, just makes the whole thing an exercise in goofiness. Still, if you want to find a fun horror to laugh at while eating some bad takeout, then you're onto a winner with this one. Number 7, Vilma, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation. It's safe to say that your first few movies aren't going to be your best work, and credit to Matthew McConaughey here as he really gives this role his all. But with that said, there are some moments that are so bizarre in this film that they got audiences laughing as well as wincing. Still, that's kind of what the Texas Chainsaw Massacre The Next Generation experience is about, as the whole thing is a ludicrous and nonsensical movie, but boy, is it a hoot. When Vilma is doing his worst as a terrifying stoic cannibal, he is a very effective villain. But when he starts letting his mania run wild with McConaughey chewing the scenery and going completely overboard, all of that does get lost. He bounces around the screen, making random noises like he's high on lemonade at a school disco, and maybe it would have worked in a different movie, but it's just laughable here. All of that doesn't even cover things like his robotic knee brace, which is such a bizarre addition to the character that it doesn't even get any explanation. The movie in general is a wild ride though, and Vilma is just a hilarious part of that. Number 6, Camera Head, Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. Now, take a second to think about all of the terrifying Cenobites found throughout the Hellraiser franchise. You got Pinhead, the Wire Twins, Angelique, the Chatterer, you know, the monsters that require a change of pants at the mere thought of them. But then, there are characters like this who make you wish the series had died and gone to hell sooner. The third Hellraiser movie overall was an embarrassing low point for the franchise, as it introduced some of the absolute worst characters like CD and Barbie. Still, neither of them match the hilarity and absurdity of Camerahead. See, he's a Cenobite who, shockingly, has a camera lodged in his head. Wow. This Cenobite started life as a cameraman named Daniel Doc Fisher, who worked alongside the lead Joey Summerskill. But things went wrong for Doc as he was transformed into one of the demonic beasties, and his camera was lodged into his head, and his lens eye could even cause explosions. Like, yeah, sure, man, sounds good. Probably don't need another draft of this script. That's good. That's what we should go with. Regardless, the character is hilarious as the prosthetic work is incredibly dated and the general design is goofy as all hell. Plus, while Ken Carpenter has fun in the role, he also does match the quality of the rest of the movie's acting, which, admittedly, is not very good. Number 5, Mason Verger, Hannibal. Hannibal Lecter is, without a doubt, one of the most iconic horror movie villains of all time, and he's shown this off in some damn good releases. Unfortunately though, for every Silence of the Lambs, there's a Hannibal Rising, and for every Red Dragon, there's a Hannibal. Part of this movie's failure came from the villain, a former victim of Hannibal Lecter known as Mason Verger. Which is a shame because on paper this character should have been great. His design was a great practical effect, his paedophilic tendencies make him easily hateable, and he was even played by acting powerhouse Gary Oldman. However, in an unexpected turn of events, that last point did kinda lead to some unexpected hilarity. See, Oldman just goes full ham with this demented character, making him way too unintentionally funny. His over-the-top accent and voice in particular make him sound like he's from an episode of SpongeBob rather than the antagonist to one of horror's greatest characters. This is spurred on even further by a slew of weird points as well, like his ridiculous plan to have Hannibal eaten by pigs and generally cartoonish vulgarity. In a movie series known for creating terrifyingly unsettling villains, Old Mason injects some campy fun into the mix for better or worse. Number 4, The Crap Weasels, Dreamcatcher. Oh, Stephen King. Taking a walk through the mind of this wild and slightly deranged author must be like stepping into a candy land of murder, mayhem, and in this case, literal poop, as that last one is what we're talking about here. See, Dreamcatcher is a bizarre movie that shows a group of friends encountering a parasitic alien race while on an annual hunting trip. How do these aliens work, you may ask? Well, they live in your stomach and then they make their way out of your butthole. So yeah, they're shit monsters essentially. Of course, although the movie tries really hard to make this scary, it hits nowhere near the mark, as the absurd image of someone with an alien sticking out of their butt is painfully hilarious. Even when the aliens become more adult and advanced, you'll still be in stitches at the idea of being scared by a toilet monster. Now, King's intentions with these beasties was to explore the horror of the bathroom, a scary place where you can find abnormalities in your body. It's a decent intention, but a little bit was lost in the translation for this adaptation. Number 3, Dr. Alan Finestone, the Dentist. The second Doctor will see you now. Horror has a powerful tendency to take mundane, everyday things and turn them into nightmare fuel. Thus, the idea of a killer dentist seems like a top priority, as many people would rather let their teeth rot and fall out than take a trip to their local tooth doctor. This one, however, won't keep you up at night because you'll be dead. The Dentist follows a dentist, called Alan Finestone, as he loses his mind after witnessing his wife cheating on him and decides to take it out on his patients. It might sound like some decent B-movie slasher schlock, but the titular villain is somehow too ridiculous even for that. Colin Bernstein's performance as the Dentist is so over the top that it's hard to take him seriously, as he's too campy, cartoonish, and utterly unbelievable. Plus, his irrational obsessions with decay are so on the nose for a dentist that it seems like the script was written by a toddler. Making all of this worse is the fact that, well, he's just a dentist with no real sense of terror to him. At least Dr. Giggles was more than just a regular doctor. Hell, this character isn't even half as scary as Steve Martin's evil dentist from The Little Shop of Horrors, and that one was deliberately supposed to be funny. Number 2, Dr. Moreau, The Island of Dr. Moreau. Alright, I'm not doing a third Doctor We'll See You Now gimmick, it's run its course. We've got another Doctor, we're gonna have to deal with it. Throughout cinema history, there have been plenty of cursed productions. Still, few can hold a candle to the slobber knocker of a disaster that was Richard Stanley's The Island of Dr. Moreau. The only good to come out of this film was the documentary detailing its production, and the utter hilarity of seeing a late-stage Marlon Brando losing his mind on screen. See, Brando took on the role of the titular Dr. Moreau, a mad scientist who creates human-animal hybrids. In the book, Moreau was a formidable genius who tried his hand at playing God. However, in this movie, he was just a weirdo covered in white paint, played by an actor who was just mucking around and wanting to get paid for it. The legendary actor's on-set antics are well documented. You should definitely check out Lost Soul to see more of that. And he made many ridiculous decisions on the day about his character, including wearing a bucket on his head, having another person dressed like him in all of his scenes, and a final reveal that he was part a dolphin all along, though that one admittedly, thankfully never made it onto screen. Naturally, all of this made it impossible to take the character seriously, and he is an absolute laugh riot in this movie, thanks to just how wild and ridiculous he looks and acts. Number 1, Chucky Child's Play. Look, okay, put your pitchforks down. This is the one entry on this list where being accidentally funny is actually a good thing. See, Chucky, of course, is an icon, and that's because, unlike the others on this list, his unintentional hilarity actually ended helping him in the long run. The goofiness of the legendary killer doll was something the franchise embraced with fondness as the series wore on. And really, the concept of a serial killer who uses voodoo to possess a kid's toy has been absurd since day one. The first Child's Play movie does the best possible job of making such a goofy concept scary, but you'll still catch yourself giggling now and again. And there is plenty to laugh at along with Chucky, such as his goofy facial expressions, the times where you spot an obvious human just playing him, and the outlandish performance by Brad Dourif. But if anything, this energy took a character that could have been forgettable and made him a bona fide star. As the movies progressed, Chucky himself got funnier and funnier, and it was absolutely great. By the time he got to his fourth movie, Bride of Chucky, the series had taken a full plunge into comedy territory, embracing the absurdity and playing it straight for laughs. It's great stuff.